All right, Tom Lynch. I am currently living in India, originally from New York, Yonkers, New York. I served in Vietnam in 1968 and 1969 as a helicopter pilot in an assault helicopter company.
Did your view on the war change, like from beginning to end?
Oh, sure.
Sure. How?
Well, the way that it was being played up in the news was very different from the reality of it. And I'm sure it's very much the same thing today. I was never really under the misapprehension that I was fighting to save the country. Unfortunately, in war, usually the biggest interests are business, to be able to generate money for themselves, and I saw that firsthand. Because of the nature of the job that I did, I did a lot of special operations and stuff, and came to find that the government, probably 75% of the time, was lying about things that were going on. The war was extremely unpopular at home, so you had virtually no support from people at home, other than family.
Yeah.
You know, those are the only people you depend on. And so, like in all wars, I guess, you weren't fighting the war for the sake of, you know, the people at home and the politicians and the flag and the rest of it. You were fighting it for the guy standing next to you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what got me into it in the first place. A very dear friend of mine that was in the Marines, and he went to Vietnam, and I just felt helpless. I felt like I wanted to do something. So I picked something where I thought it would be helpful, and so I started flying a gunship. They were to support the slicks and to support the infantry. If there was ever any trouble on the ground, we had radios, 5 different types of radios, and we could actually speak to the guys on the ground when they were in trouble. We would go in and support them. Because of the way helicopters fly, you could get very close to them, but for close air support, you really have to be right on top of the ground.
Yeah.
And you could do that with a helicopter, so we did a lot of that.
Did you, so was yours like mostly like shooting, or was it?
When I was flying a gunship, yes, I shot every day. Well, the helicopter crew, we flew UEs, which were UH-1s, and both the slicks. In fact, that's the only type of helicopter they had then. They have since sort of refined them to where they're specialized, but they had a pilot, a co-pilot, a crew chief, and a gunner. So I have a picture inside. I'll show you if you want.
How did you get like accustomed to having a gun in your hand like every day, and like how did
Like
that become? Yeah, how did that become just like a normal everyday task?
Well, you sort of train if you're in the military, the police, or anything like that. You sort of are trained on how to use those things. The difference being when you have an aircraft that's armed, there's a lot. It's bristling with armament. I mean, there's a lot of guns. But you don't get. I mean, it's there for a reason. I don't think you really get it in your head that you have a lot of power. You do. It's suppressive power. And when I was, you know what, I mean, as were most guys that fought the Vietnam War, it was mostly fought by very young guys.
Yeah.
I turned 21 when I was in Vietnam.
Really?
And I had the authority on some missions. I could call in B-52s from Guam based on my decision.
And when would like you choose that would happen? Like when there's just too many people?
Yeah, when there is one of the missions that we had that was extremely dangerous, but it was across the border. It was in Laos and Cambodia, and you were going into. It was bad enough that you were actually happy to get back into Vietnam because at least there's a lot of Americans on the ground. Over there, we flew without name tags or dog tags, and if you got shot down, they would just come in and blow up the aircraft.
Really?
So that was kind of scary.
Yeah.
But because there was such a preponderance of enemy soldiers on the ground and stuff like that, you would need fighters and bombers and all this kind of stuff to go in there. I guess if I were to describe a best experience, it would be the camaraderie that you develop with the other people that you're with, because you're sort of all in that thing together.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it's a party and you're having a great time, but you get close to people like the guys I was in Vietnam with. I'm still very close to today. I mean, there's a bond like no other.
Definitely.
Do you have any particular stories that you think really helped shape you or shattered you in any way?
You know, while I was there, it was very straightforward. You know what? It was simple in a way. I mean, you know, I used to think of the words, I think it was George Patton, you know, compared to war, all other forms of human endeavor shrink into insignificance, you know, because it's cut and dry. There's no nuances and there's no gray areas, you know. It's either that or that kind of helps you focus. One thing I will say is it gave me a great appreciation for life.
Yeah.
And that sounds all good. That can get a little complicated too. If you live every day like it's your last, it's great when you're a young guy. Once you get a family,
Yeah.
that goes away.
Yeah.
There better be tomorrow, you know. So that becomes an adjustment. But that overall, particular stories, I mean, geez, it just one ran into the other, you know. I got shot up, I got, you know, had people in my crew shot up and killed, and, you know, bullets come through the floor. Every day I would, not every day, but one of the worst jobs we had coming back when we'd go fly back to base, because we were supporting infantry guys and artillery fire bases and stuff like that. And at the end of every day, the last helicopter that was done would have to stop by the bases and pick up the dead, the guys that were killed. And, you know, in the war, people don't die clean deaths. Sometimes there would be very much left. And I'd fly them back to what was called graves registration. And I'd fly that, this probably means nothing to you, I'd fly it out of trim. I'd fly it sideways so that the wind whistled through the cockpit and stuff, because otherwise my crew would all be sick in the back.
Really?
Yeah.